appoint a commission right now without any funding, without any monies, depending on saying, okay, here you go, here's this building, go do something with it. I'd like to see a committee established, again, a short-term committee for 3 months that would eventually evolve into a commission or a committee under the CAPC or somebody. Certainly not under the planning or HDC. They have no expertise. It's obviously got to be a CAPC or a separate commission that this commission or this council decides on, based on recommendations. There's a lot out there that I'm not involved with running an auditorium. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people that are interested in the auditorium. I'm almost, and I've said this before, halfway joking, if somebody wants to come in and lease that building, I'd be willing to discuss giving them a year's lease for $1, as long as they pay utilities and operation and marketing and everything else and insurance on it. You can have it for $1 a year as long as you get that somebody in those seats, you know, because that's the main thing.
They did it with Leatherwood.
You know, so it doesn't for a long time.
Oh, it worked.
So I don't know. You know, again, that's something the committee, in my opinion, can come up with. Now, I think and again, I hope that the people who are interested in serving on the commission and that love the auditorium as much as all of us do, because it is something, I don't want to see it dark. I want to see something happening. I think all of us do. Mm-hmm. Would come to you and give you the name so you can come and appoint this, whether it's with our approval and we can still use the same, give them some guidelines. And I think the first thing we have to do is decide whether or not we want to go with a committee or a commission. If we go with the committee, what are these guidelines? Same thing as we got here. We got guidelines on the commission. Again, I can see both sides of it, and all I know is we just need to do something as soon as possible. So that's all.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Mr. Pano?
May I add one just small thing
Okay,
about the timeline? And thank you, Butch, because you reminded me that when I'm looking at the timeline, I was talking about now and then, but absolutely, the 4-year thing was something I pulled out of the air. But were we to begin the process of lighting this building back up tomorrow, which would be awesome, but we would have to basically set up a committee to work it now. And then there would need to be another committee, a separate entity that's working 2012 already, because we are that far behind in the process of building production dynamics. Anyway, that's all I want to say.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Section 5 of this ordinance and Section 4 both bother me. Section 5 basically is the code charter for the Planning Commission, responsible for presenting City Council's approval of comprehensive community-oriented plan. That should be part of the comprehensive plan that the Planning Commission is working on anyway. As part of that, if you go back and look at the comprehensive plans, in the past, there were people that were the experts in auditoriums, there were the experts in parks, there were the experts in transit. And I wouldn't want to serve on this commission, because if I thought 4 people on this council table and the mayor decided they wanted to get rid of me, this ordinance would let them do it for a whim, not even just cause. So to me, that's totally inappropriate, even if it's allowed by city or state code. But the thing that I say it still is a planning issue. I would say that when I used to sit back here and be run over my toes by Mr. Weaver, that planning took on a lot that it wasn't an expert on, but we went trying to find the people that were, and those people that are out there, whether they happen to be a CAPC member, an HDC member, people that are interested in that, because there was an individual from planning who told me he was going to be here tonight that was going to kind of support some of this. But I really believe this is a planning function at this point in time, because we've got an empty building, period. I do not think that a commission is the way to go. It's got to be a committee. It needs to fall under some established form of formal guidance that can come to this table for help, even if it were put under parks, God forbid. Just kidding, Bruce.
We never get rid of him then.
It needs to be something, the short term, let's get it fixed, as Miss Alexander mentioned, needs to be a committee with a long-term goals and recommendations for the auditorium and its use. Still falls under the planning chapter 14 guidelines of what to do with the facilities and infrastructure of this city.
Any other discussion? Mr. Vito?
The auditorium's our responsibility. The CAPC has relinquished their responsibility to the auditorium, and it's now for us. And that's what the first item on our agenda tonight was, finding the money to fund the auditorium. If you want long-term goals with a committee, it's called a commission. My concern is that I want the building to be utilized, and I want people that are dedicated in the long run, and that's from a commission standpoint, that just like every other commission in this community, that they are going to be here permanently. Committees come and go. Commissions don't. That building has been here for a good 80-some years, and I'd like to see it used for another 80 years. There's a lot of people who hold that building dear to their hearts in this community. And, Alderman Berry spoke about, during the CAPC's reign, that it was, if I had the money that the CAPC spent on that building, yeah, I could make it run really well. The question is, the money spent, your return on investment, that's where we fell short. We spent a lot of money with little return on investment. That money is probably better spent in advertising support than actually spending the money to book the groups and the bands and such, to artificially make it look good, when the reality of the situation was that it was probably a poor return on investment. So if we're interested in the long-term health of this building, it is a commission. A commission can entertain ideas from outside the community. They can bring in experts. But when the day is done, the long-term use of the building is what a commission is going to address. We've been through these transit periods of the CAPC, and it's proved not to have been an effective use of revenue for the overall community. That's not to say that the A&P can't provide advertising support if we can find people willing to put their money up to book talent into the auditorium. But there's nobody at the CAPC. Those people are gone now. We've moved the special events director into the capacity. We need to form a commission that has the long-term vision of the use of this building in the best interests of the community as a whole, and that's why I feel that a commission is appropriate.
Mr. Berry?
I'll take my second turn, and then we can go on. I think everything that James said can be applied to a committee also, with the exception of, and I don't want to get into the argument about how the money was spent and returns and all that. That's a CAPC issue and all that. We're talking about commission versus committee. If this table wanted to put the committee under the Planning Commission, I would vote no and say let's go with the commission. I don't see it under the Planning Commission at all. That's not their place. It doesn't have anything to do with it, as much as it would have to do with the Historic District Commissionerships, because it's a historic building. We're talking about a function in here that's the auditorium and the use of that building. So I'm still supportive of the committee, but again, it's a short-term committee that I think has to have some specific guidelines on what to do and what we're expecting out of it, and to be able to report back to us either on a monthly basis, and to be at the end of 3 to 4 months, be able to evolve into a commission. And similar to and I don't have really too much of a problem with this ordinance, because I think the ordinance, the commissioners are going to be there. I didn't get down to the nitty gritty, but obviously the committee can be removed by a vote of 5 members of the city council and 4 members of the city council and the mayor. So that's no more different than a lot of other commissions, I don't think. But I don't think that's what we're in here for. We're in here to get the best results for this building. And right now, the object is, do we do a commission or do we do a committee, in my opinion.
May I add one short thing? Just real short. What if we tabled this, postponed it, take this back to the CAPC? They're working with a whole new group of heads there. Take it back to them and say, what if? Or ask if they might have a new idea. Because we know that this was not born of any of those who are sitting there now. That's what I was.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion's made and seconded to table the ordinance for establishing the Auditorium Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. It is tabled. All right.
To the next meeting.
To the next meeting. That's correct. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Specific.
For a 10-minute recess.
Second.
Okay, motion been made for a 10-minute recess. All in favor?
Hi.
Okay. So carried.
You're not smoking.
All right, recess is over. We are discussing unfinished business. Item number 3, the discussion of courthouse parking lots and courthouse city hall lease. Need a motion?
Move to discuss.
Second.
Okay, Mr. DeVito moved to discuss. Mr. Pownell seconded. Go ahead. Yes, you will.
We have the 2 leases. Do we want to talk one at a time?
Please. It'll be less confusing that way.
With the leased premises, I understand that you've looked at these 2, right? Before they were signed. The lease agreements are signed. I think any discussion of good or bad points are moot at this point in time. I make a motion that we assign a number to the resolution that we were given for the approval of the lease of the office space. Be assigned a number in red.
Motion been made to sign the
Second.
number and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll start with the lease agreement between the County of Carroll and City of for the spaces downstairs.
It's a parking lot. Okay.
Both of them, I think.